Hi. One sec. Good afternoon and welcome back to another session of AI Teacher Community enabled by Shibi Anand, present session 17 for AI Teacher Community on AI activities. And today we have our very own Raksha Panjwan ma'am, who's presently working for GD Goenka Group as a faculty member in computer science for 2 decades. As a young child also, she had always been passionate about the mechanics and technologies behind the simple machines around us. And her bent for technology and love for children landed her in the teaching profession after her computer science engineering. She's an Adobe Level 2 certified educator and have been working as an active member of Google Educators Group. Always a keen learner, and with her motto, learning never stops, she is now working in the direction of artificial intelligence. Welcome to this session, Raksha ma'am.
Thank you, Shibi ma'am. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, and I would also like to mention a special guest who is here today with us on request. I would like to welcome Rajesh Sethi, sir, on this AI teacher community. We have the session by one of her department members, and he is here to watch her deliver her lessons and give her the support that he has always been giving her. So welcome to this community of AI teachers, Rajesh sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, over to you, Raksha ma'am. The session is all yours.
Yeah, a very good afternoon to all the members here. Well, I am also a learning member as you all are, and I'm also conducting AI for the first time this session. But yes, I had been working in this direction for past 3 years. Like I had been attending the CBSE workshops here and there, wherever I had gotten a chance, I had just sneaked into there and I have learned from there. So just today, I would like to share lots of activities, what we can conduct during our AI sessions, because that is one thing we look for every class. As we enter our class, the students so enthusiastically ask, ma'am, what are we going to learn? What is the new thing we are going to learn today, especially for this subject, because this is a skill-based subject and the students are like they themselves are totally into it. They are born in this era. So they already know a lot about it and they want to know much beyond that. So with that, lots of activities coming up. A few of them, yes, of course, you might have seen in your CBSE curriculums also, but there are lot many. So in every class of yours, you can just pop out this list and just take one of the activities with you. Okay, so I'll begin with my presentation. I'll share my screen. I hope my complete screen is visible. Shivi ma'am, is it visible? You are on mute?
Yes. It is visible. It is visible. Just the presentation is not on the presentation mode, but it is.
I'll just put it on.
Yes.
Yeah, fine. So the first activity which I gave in my orientation was this video. It is not an activity, it is just a video. So I asked my students to look onto it. And after they had viewed this, I had asked them questions about it. And then they said, ki, ma'am, we want to see it again. So I would want you also to have a look onto it. Okay.
Meet the Andersons, mom, dad, brother, and sis. Let's explore a day in the life of this family to see how much AI impacts their daily lives. Gentle chimes from a phone alarm wake up mom. She turns it off and prepares for the day. To decide what to wear, she asks her phone, what's today's weather? In a second, the daily forecast appears. She picks out the perfect sweater. In the next room, her son gets ready by listening to the perfect playlist recommended by his music streaming app. Annoyed by the noise, his sister tells the speaker device to lower the volume. While they argue, Dad is downstairs reading about world politics, one of his favorite topics, brought up first on his newsfeed. An ad appears about a dietary supplement to aid low energy, precisely a concern he has recently researched online. Mom is now ready for her day. Her rideshare app notifies her that the car is 6 minutes away. She grabs some fruit while the kids enjoy cereal. Both part of groceries delivered yesterday when Dad placed an online order through the supermarket's chatbot. When Mom's ride arrives, Sister doesn't hear the goodbyes because she's too busy checking up on her favorite social media platform, discovering she's been tagged in a selfie with her best friend. A photo enhanced with big eyes and bunny ears. How cute!
So after watching this video, I used to ask them how many AI like connectivity you can just bring down, like you can count how many things you would feel that they are connected with AI. So they would say, ma'am, we did not notice that. Yes, we did see that number of them, but we want to see that again to count it. So generally they asked for a rego for this video. And that is how I started my class. And I feel not just sharing a video link would be sufficient, but to explain the things along with that, what is included and what a message would be therein would be like what is asked for us from like we as a teacher.
Meet the Andersons.
I'll just
Mom,
go on to
Dad,
the next one.
Brother
Sorry.
and sis.
Yeah. So the applications of AI, when we speak of, we see them in variant ways. We see them in gaming. We see that in NLP, expert system, vision systems, and so on. We all have been theoretically learning all those. Yeah. The best applications, I would say, known to the students would be something like Google's AI. We have the Google Maps. One of my favorites also. So whenever we are going somewhere, we look onto those maps and we look for the shortest way. So this kind of algorithm, what is there in our Google Map is looked for in, I should say, the best of the applications which are being taught or to be created to be taught in the higher education as well when they are learning AI. Yes, we have plagiarism checkers and the tools. We have the ride sharing systems. We have the facial recognition systems. We have smart personal assistants known to the students more like Siri and Alexa. We have the fraud protection and prevention systems also coming up from various banks and all. We have the AI autopilot in commercial pilots. We have the search recommendations as well. Okay, we have the spam filters, inner mails, and voice to text features. So just to list all what we have in a hand in one go. Well, all of these are working in the 3 domains of AI. All our examples and applications, whatever we are going to learn would be falling under these 3 domains: the data, computer vision, and the NLP, that's natural language processing. Okay, so whenever we are teaching any of the concepts, we can pick up any of these activity and we can correlate with these domains and explain them. Let's just jump on to the activities now. Yes, the first one here is talking to the books. So this is a link where when you give the text over there, when you give some precise text, it gives you the list of the books which would be having the similar text. So if you are phrasing something, it would give you the name of the book. So it is as good as you're talking to the book and then you can refer to the complete one. So this is also based on AI. Then one of the most favorite and experimental one among the students is to like experiment with the facial expressions. For this, you don't need to be an expert in Photoshop. You can just download this Face app and then you can just work on to various tools and filters and you would see marvelous effects with these. So this is also based on your AI. Now, this is a site which I have seen and I have used myself also. This is aiworldschool.com. It gives you a free play, but only for 1 hour, 30 minutes. So you should be going very prepared for it if you are trying this off in your classes. So explore it beforehand. This is from AI World Schools. Though it is a paid one later on, but you still have 1 hour, 30 minutes free play, wherein you can just explore these 5 games and 5 ways in which we can explore AI. So I generally go for the free versions so that I don't have to like request the management and people for that. So I just look for those resources which I can use in my classes for free. So this is one among them, and you can use it for 1 hour, 30 minutes. You can give a project onto it based upon these things, and they would just love this. Next, you might have worked with, that is a quick draw, one of the favorite one. Here, this is again based on AI. You just draw and it gives like, it gives you 20 seconds to draw an item or an object. Okay, so within 20 seconds, if you are drawing it correctly, it gives you some score. If you're not drawing it, it goes on to another object. So how much time you take and how much precision is there in creating your object as per the drawings which are already there into it.
Yeah,
So
I think, these quick draws are quite like a boon for people like me who cannot draw the exact thing, but can draw something similar to what we want. So it
yes.
is like the AI try to guesses what we're trying to draw. So it's actually very good.
Yes, and the children also enjoy it because they are not also that perfect in drawing onto the system. They might be good at hand drawings, but not everyone is good at drawing onto the machine as well. So this actually is very lovable by the kids. Next one is similar to your quick draw. Here it picks up all the trained like doodles from there. And as you start like doodling there, it gives you that you are doing it correctly or not. And it gives you some vision over there. Towards the right side, you can see 9 cells over there. So it gives you the precision that you are nearing to it. So this is also, I would say, much better than quick draw because it picks up the doodles which are already there into it. Okay, so this is Sketch RNN with the demos. This is one of my favorite. This is Scroogly. Now this would ask you for your camera permission. It would have number of doodles there down, and you select any of those doodles, and you, with your facial expressions and all, it would just come out with beautiful animation. The one which you see down there, this is one which I tried myself. I also enjoyed working onto it. So when I like work onto these activities and I see myself so engrossed in this, I feel that our students would love it, definitely. This one also asks for the camera permission. This would be like lip syncing. So a song would go on and it would check how much your lips are syncing in with the song, how much it is matching in with that. So it is there by YouTube. This is also very good one, like AI powered challenge, which kids enjoy. Again, another one which asks for the camera permission. This is the shadow art. Here, the hand shadows as you draw. So those are to be guessed by the AI that what object are you trying to make out of that. This is interesting. This is Thing Translator. Now here you present an object in front of the camera. Again, you have to give the camera permissions. So when you present an object in front of it, it tries to find out what the object is there. So I tried putting up a mug in front of it. So it gave me number of suggestions starting from metallic to any other thing, the coffee mug, tableware, and all that. And finally it landed up in cup, and then I just took a snapshot that yes, I want to make use of this in here. So this is trying to translate your object into some text. This is like Thing Translator. This is so, what should I say? So much deep details study can go for this. Okay, when you are teaching your AI concepts, a picture converted into a word, basically. This one is AI Duet. Probably you would have used it. This is the experiments with Google. Here, the keys of the keyboard, as you place like a click on your laptop or your keyboard, you would create some music over there. So there are some inbuilt algorithms over there which use that, okay, for each alphabet, and you are able to create some different kind of music for yourself. This is semiconductor, again related to the music, but it takes a hand movement. So here it asks for the camera to be turned on. And as you can see down there, the gestures are also taken in. So as an orchestra is being played, so you are able to create that kind of music over here in real time. And you can download that music, and that would definitely be an original one when you are creating. So this is also very interesting for the students when they perform it. Infinite drum machine. Yes, this is what, when I speak of data with the students, here it creates beats with like everyday sounds. You have the various filters over here like beep or metallic. So all these sounds are, these are the sound molecules, I would say here, and you move your cursor over there and the sound changes. It approaches to that particular kind of sound, what is there, like nearing to that object. Okay, so this is really very interesting. You must try it yourself. I'm definitely going to share all these links with you so that you can try them. You don't have to look around. Here you can use the various filter effects also along with it. As you move like nearer to the purple area, that would be more harder sounds would be there. But when you go above, the softer tones of the same object would be there. Something like paper or metallic, all those sounds can be made over here. So when you are teaching the data and the maps, near neighborhood maps, all those KNN maps, when you are teaching, you can just show them here that how the sound effects changes. Yes, this also asks for the camera permission. This is Teachable Snake. In this, you will have to draw an arrow on paper. And as you move the arrow on like left or right, up or down, that would be like making an algorithm with it. It would be creating an algorithm for the movement of the cursor over there. Okay, so this also is very, very interesting game, which is controlled by the webcam. Okay. This again might be known, all those who are taken up CBSE curriculum. So emoji scavenger hunt. Yes, emojis are loved by all, especially the kids, for every object in day-to-day life. Now we are going on with the emojis. Even with the smile, we are just putting up the smileys over there. So it gives you the challenges to locate the objects or those things around you, and it works on the neural network. This is like you are hunting for that particular emoji near you. When we played this game in like CBSE Shiksha Bhavan, this really became very interesting because the objects were not to be found. They were not around at all. This was really very interesting. And everyone was just running here and there in search of their objects. This one, again, one of my favorites. This is VisuWords, where it gives you a visual dictionary or a visual thesaurus, I must say. You put up an word, any word you put in, and it gives you a dictionary kind of thing. And you go on to any of those words, and you would see more about that. So you would see the word meanings, not just the meanings, but what should I say, synonyms for it. And it's a complete thing, like it's a noun, pronoun, anything about that word. So it's a visual dictionary, and it would go on to each word over here. I'll give you some time for trying these off right now. Yeah. Would you like to do that?
Also, it would be quite helpful for these teachers if you could tell them like which are some of the topics that you have been using this in classroom. But I think I have put something in the chat box. As you are saying this, maybe the teachers who are present here can think of, okay, I can use actually this in this particular chapter when I'm taking this particular topic. If there's something that strikes your mind and you think that it can be shared, please do so in the chat box, because that will help many other teachers to know that, okay, this activity can be used while taking this particular topic. Yes, Raksha ma'am, you can share your links.
Yes. Actually, all these are all related to all the three things I just shared that at the beginning. You have the data, you have the computer vision, and the NLP. So whenever you are picking up any of the topics related to these, you can just pick any of the activities and tell that, yes, now this is related to your natural language processing. See how language is being picked up, how the word is being picked up over here, and then you are getting it connected with the other words over here. So that is for us to look forward to which particular activity you would be carrying on in your classes, though there are only a few mentioned as per CBSE. CBSE has not given more than 10 to 12 activities over the year. So when you take up that complete curriculum book, you would feel कि 10-12 activities सिर्फ कराने से कुछ नहीं, but I have class every week or twice a week. I should bring out something new to the students. So there you would have this as a repository with you from where you can quickly pick up, and yes, you can relate it with your topic because most of them are related to all these three topics. Yeah. I hope that solves that query as well.
Yes, yes,
if you want that we can like mention there as related to data or NLP or CV, we can do that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Smita has already put in Lewis game based on NLP, right?
Yes.
So this is how when we open up and when we, when you open and share in a group, there are one person says something, others can think of the same thing in 10 different ways, right?
Definitely,
so
definitely.
That is the benefit.
Yes. So let's go on to the next one. This is for the artbot. So this is for looking for the stolen objects, but yes, it has a training phase also to begin with. So you train some objects like it is a painting, it's a sculpture, and then actually your game begins to work and to look for the artifact which is stolen. This also probably you would have tried out. This one is really very interesting. I tried it yesterday. This is MR demo. Earlier, I was not giving it my camera permissions. Yes, it does ask for the camera permissions. As you are watching a video, it would just like it will be catching your emotional engagement for it. And you can see that various parameters it is picking up, that you are happy, you are sad, or your facial expressions. So it is picking up everything. And the graph kind of thing, what you see over there down here, it was picking up my expressions. So even if I'm just like looking with my narrow eyes or widened eyes, it was just picking up all my expressions, my smile also. And then at the end, it was giving me a statistical view of complete emotions. Okay, so this was really very interesting. There are a few videos over there which you are watching, and then it gives the sentimental analysis kind of thing when you are watching it. Now comes lots of chatbots are there. The first one which came in 60s was Eliza. So this is the version of that which talks about your feelings. So the first one which I think that you can tell your students to begin with should be something like this, a simplest one where a child is able to write few commands or some expressions and the chatbot is replying to it. This is talking to Eliza. Then you have the next one is your talk to Cookie. Yes, again, this is picking up all your emotions and giving you a number of things. You can talk about what is your favorite color and where you are from. One of my students did ask like which country you belong to or where do you belong to, and the answer was internet. So it did not give a specific country over there. It did tell that yes, I am all around. This was one which was for sentiment analysis. So when you're putting up a phrase, when you're putting up some text over here, you can just gauge that the text is positive or negative. So I just wrote here, I'm going for shopping, and it gave me 54% for the positive. That means I'm happy while I'm shopping. So that is how it was gauging the sentiments. I think these sentiment analysis, this is being taught when we are teaching them the morals, and when we are teaching our students that yes, how they should be bringing out more of the moral values in the chatbots they are about to build. Okay.
Also like as they deal and interact with these social media platforms, how
Yes.
continuously they are all being evaluated, and they might think, oh, this is what I was looking for, and I just got what I was looking for. I've seen many of us saying this very often. So how does that happen? Is probably the answers are all lying here. Okay, these are the kind of applications that goes behind, and they pick up things according to your moods, and then they bring it on to you, and you feel quite happy about it. So those are some deeper things that is involved here as well. Yes, Rakshana.
Yes, definitely. When we are writing anything, or when we are posting any kind of message or the image, that is going in the repository, and you never know where all it would be taken up. So we have to be very, very careful of what we are writing over these. So whenever I am telling that these are asking for the permissions for the cameras or for the text, they are picking up so much of resource. They are actually building up their own system so well by our data. They are picking our data. Okay, so that is what we have to be careful about. And the next chatbots, what I'm showing you there, I would not recommend those to be shared with the students, but that is for you to be aware that if a student is using it, then you should be knowing it. Something like this AVBot, this is an emotional chatbot avatar which speaks in several languages. It is very sweet to like chat, but there are there are comments over there that it might not be suitable for the children. So those are to be tried in the presence of the teachers or their guardians, I would say, because it is very interesting one, no doubt. But yes, we have to be careful with the students, and we have to tell them, we have to actually tell them to be careful to not to land up onto such situations. Okay, that is why I have shared these 2-3 more chatbots which we are not teaching anyway. This is EVBot. The next one is Cleverbot. Again, the similar kind of recommendations, and the message comes over there that you can chat about any topic. But when you say chat about any topic, that becomes so dangerous for our students. We should not be giving that kind of liberty to all the age groups. So we have to tell them that these are the age appropriates, and we should be using only those ones in our classrooms. Yes, when we speak about the chatbots, we look for like how effective the system was in answering the question which we have posed. So when we are teaching them, or when we are giving them a hands-on onto the chatbot, then we also as a teacher have some job behind it, that yes, if my child has written something over there, then I should be asking the cross questions are to be there. So what kind of questions we can ask our students, that yes, was there any sound or voice recognition? So then we can just tell them that yes, NLP is being used over here. We are using text, voice to text conversion over here. Okay, were the questions answered precisely or in a vague manner? There are many chatbots which are building up right now on the data what we are posting. Okay, so those would definitely be giving you the vague answer. So we have to tell them that yes, they are picking your data. So be cautious what you are writing in there.
There's a question in the chat box for you, Raksha ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Are these bots like Tao.ai from Microsoft that was taken off net soon after it was launched few years back? This is by Padma ma'am.
I have not worked with that, ma'am.
Yeah, Padma ma'am, even I have actually not heard of this.
Do you want me to answer this question?
Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am. Smita, this is Smita.
So Tao was actually, it was
If somebody wants to answer, they can go ahead. I have no problem.
Both of you will answer. There is absolutely no problem. You can go ahead, and then Smita ma'am can add on to that.
Yeah. Smita definitely can add on. So this, I think, if I remember correctly, this was launched on Twitter, and it started because obviously it picked up the language which was given by the netizens. So it was starting to give derogatory language, and it was responding in derogatory language. It was taken down by Microsoft. Now the chatbots that Raksha ma'am is talking about, right now you can talk to them, like what ma'am is saying, that the age specific ones, obviously you'll have to take a little care that you I don't talk about them with my kids. I ask them to talk to Cookie and even the first one, Eliza. So you'll have to be a little careful. It's just that you need to tell them that this is the data that they are collecting. So because like Cookie, when I first interacted with her, we talked to her about how do you find India. So she had no information about India. The second time when I asked my students to talk to Cookie, she had information about India. So she had already collected that data. So I was able to tell them this. So yes, the data is being added on to it. So obviously what we are giving, the chatbots are also learning. But yes, sir, in Cookie, I found this, they are updating her or updating it, repeatedly. So I'm happy with that, actually, that concept.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Smita ma'am, please.
Yes, I would like to add whatever Meenu ma'am told, that I have also heard about that chatbot. It actually started giving racial remarks. There was a lot of racial remarks which it picked up from the netizens. So that was the most dangerous thing that happened. People got really scared that what is this thing happening, and it was removed. And my personal experience with Cookie is that Cookie says, whenever I asked Cookie, it was telling that I am from United Kingdom, UK. Okay. So that was the kind of information it was giving to me and my students. And one more experience was, it did not know where about my city. I was asking about the weather in my city. It did not know where it was. And next day itself, when I asked, it was able to guess it. So that was also my personal experience with Cookie. And what I do with chatbots is, I give my students to try out the chatbots of the valid sites like IRCTC, your Diksha platform, Tara, and your Eliva from HDFC Bank. So that itself gives a structured sort of conversation with the chatbot, and students will know what exactly these chatbots are. And the outside one that I have tried is only Cookie. No other chatbot I have tried, ma'am.
Yeah.
I just mentioned all these. For us as teachers, we should be aware of what is there, and we have to be careful with our students. That is why I just mentioned that I don't share these with my students, but these are for you to be aware of. Like if a child asks you, you should be like totally aware of what is happening.
Right. But I think, Raksha ma'am, that was a very thoughtful act, because see, even if you don't share it with children, the children are bound to find it. Okay. So it is always better to empower them to know the difference between, okay, this is right and this is wrong, and this is how it works. So you may step on to some of these chatbots as you are working on artificial intelligence, or you're researching about, because we give them a lot of researching projects based on AI. So obviously the children are going to get it from the internet, just like you and I. So it's always advisable to tell them in advance that, you may step on to these chatbots, and it could lead to such and such kind of problem. So in case if they do, they can always come and, report it to you, or they can always confide in you and take guidance from you. So that is how I absolutely believe. And thank you so much, ma'am, Meenu ma'am and Smita ma'am, for adding on to this. And thank you, Padma ma'am, for asking that question, because questions are very important. You ask questions, you get answers. You don't ask questions, everything seems fine. Yeah, go ahead, Raksha ma'am.
Yeah, for me also, I have tried Eliza and Cookie in my classrooms. I gave them the hands-on onto these, and then I started up telling them that the sites like HDFC Bank is carrying on. So they have a chatbot over there. Then you have the sites like BSCS for payment of your bills. The most famous among the students would be the Domino's. So they already know that there is something which is conversing with them, but the concept of chatbot is to be built first, and then I bring them to those platforms. Yes, what all like we can use for building the chatbots? We can use Scratch, we can use IBM Watson, we can use Google's Dialogflow, and of course we have Python programming in there. And I believe each one would take a complete session, and we already had Hari sir, we had Venkat sir, and Meenu ma'am already there, who had taken us across a few of these. So I would not touch this, but yes, we have the various platforms onto which these chatbots can be built up, and we do take them in our classes. After that, when I'm speaking to my students about autonomous vehicles or the self-driving cars, yes, we are speaking about the best of the companies which are in a race right now to bring out all the best in their machines, in their cars, or any kind of automobile what they are having. So we have to tell the students here the differences between the sensors and the AI over here. So what actually is sensor is just a mechanical device which would just sense something near sensor. You have that. So when it senses that nearness, it would give you a beep. So we have to tell them that this is a sensor, but when we use this aspect along with all those, like after that it is making up a decision of not going forward or so, then it would be falling into the category of AI. So here I feel that not just the sensors are to be told to the students, they are to be totally told the difference between the sensors and the AI. Okay, but yes, then after introducing those through various videos, I do ask them about various technologies which they would have seen around in the cars, like all these luxury cars we have here in India as well. So they can very well correlate with all these. Akinator is very interesting one. It guesses a character, a fictional or a real one based upon the questions. This is like mystery animal, what you are posting some questions and then it is giving you, it is finding the answer for that. For me, it very well guessed Spider-Man very correctly, though I was trying to give the answers in a different way, but it did guess within 6-7 questions, it was able to guess the answer. Yes, when we are teaching them the graphs and the data, we have to tell about the various ways the data is to be visualized. So this particular site gives us a detailed view of all kinds of graphs we have. And when we are teaching them graphs, we have to tell them what it is best suited for. Like if I'm using a bar graph or if I'm using a pie chart. So where I should be using which kind of graph for visualizing my data, I have to tell my students. So this particular site gives you a complete thorough look onto all kinds of graphs we have. This is for the senior students because in class 11th we do that.
Raksha ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Mystery animal game was actually not working when
yes,
I had last tried out. So is it working now?
No, it's not working. That is why I have taken up this Akinator.
Okay, okay, yeah, thank you. So I think that sets the doubt Vimla ma'am had because she'd put in that comment in the chat box. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Then this one is Loopy. This is for designing the system maps. Here, the actual simulations are seen. Once you just design the connection between the data and how your data flows or the diagram flow is completely done. You click onto any of these and then the directional arrows shows you how it is increasing or decreasing. So here when you see this complete circle, this is totally filled. Increase in this would affect this to be increasing in decreasing of that particular component. That is seen with this like animated simulation under this. This is really very interesting and I feel this we do for class 11th only. It is not done in the earlier classes when we are teaching them the concepts of data and how they are correlated. Yes, teachable machine. Many of you would have heard about it. do we have that time that we can go with hands-on for 10 minutes for?
Yes, please. I think that would actually help the teachers to understand the platform and how to use it. So I think you have shared loads of activities. So if you can pick up a few, like teachable machines and all we have done. Teachable machines and all we have done. Okay. So if you can go back and pick up an activity which you think we've not done in the...
there's more, which I want you to try on.
Which one?
Okay. I would come on to it.
Oh, okay, great. So I think teachable machines, most of them have worked on.
Okay, if everyone is like comfortable with it, that we are working with all the 3 ways here. We are doing the image project. We are looking for the audios or the pose also. Right. So all the 3 are to be done. The machine is to be trained, and then we take it forward and we get the final result, like how much percentage it is correct or not. So that is what is done with this teachable machine. This I would want you to try right now, because this is so common. Google Translator, this is so biased. When I write something like nurse is coming, it would be like gender biased answers would be coming over here. Please do try that in half a second. Just write translate.google and you would be coming onto this window. Please do try this. This is where we have to tell the students, yes, there is so much of data which is already fed in and that is biased. We have to be very, very careful with that. Are people trying in?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Anybody who has tried?
You can try out any other example as well.
While everybody is trying, Raksha ma'am, can I ask you one question?
Yes, ma'am.
Where do you use this ncase.me loopy? Which chapter in class 11?
Ma'am, I have not taken up class 11 this year right now. But I know that this is related to when you are teaching them data and how it is to be accumulated.
Data analysis.
Yes, when you are analyzing the data. So how you are correlating that data with the further one. The change in
I will try this out because I'm doing data analysis right now. So this seems interesting. I'll try it out. Thank you.
It is definitely very interesting.
Thank you.
Welcome, ma'am.
Okay, we are back. We tried and we completely agree that it is biased.
Yes, it is. So just the simple examples around, we can tell the students the data, what is being picked up is so biased. In fact, when you look for like Amazon Pay, if you just simply look for shirts, you search for it, you would find men's shirt coming over there, though it is not based on gender. Even the females do wear the shirts. So that is also biased data over there onto many of the sites. Yeah.
I think this can be picked up in this AI ethics and when we teach them about AI values and AI ethics, because these are the people who will be working on AI in future. So when they are creating something like this, their choices should not be biased. But I think it's just so deeply ingrained that it is even difficult to identify that it is biased.
Yes. We generally don't even notice that. That goes so unnoticed. Even we are living into that system. Right. So that was unnoticed.
And Divya here says that she's used Loopy in class 9 and 10 when she had taken AI project scope. Okay, so that is when she has used Loopy. Yeah, thank you, Divya.
Great. Thanks for giving the idea. Okay, then when we are teaching them about the morals, yes, we have to pick up that moral machine. Over there, some examples are given over there, some situation-based examples like you would have read in many of your AI books, that if a car is going and a driverless car is going and some situation comes, what kind of decision it has to make. So here on the side, we have got number of situations inbuilt over there and a child is made to study it, and a child is made to understand what all can be there and what all we have to avoid. Okay, so this is also like based on to that moral machine when we are telling them the values. Yes, speaking about our sustainable goals, we have the 17 goals in our hands. This particular site gives us a very interesting quiz, and this is testing on to the awareness about not just the logos of the various goals we have, but about what is the theme behind it. So had we there in person taking the classes, we would have rather another board game for this sustainable goals, which takes us something like Ludo or Snakes and Ladder, which takes us up and down to various points, and the team which reaches up is the winner. But this one is totally different. This tests an individual for the global goals we have. So this is like right now in online times, you can try out this instead. Yes, the smart home project. Many of you would have discussed the smart home with your students, but I did it in a different way. I started with a video. I showed them a video, like many of them flowing on the net, what a smart home is like or what a smart city is like. So there I gave them lots of ideas, because the kids are anyway aware what is there. They know what smart lights are. They are aware of various sensors and things around. So I gave them the ideas what is already there. Okay, so in most of the videos, what you see are the things which are there. So here I gave them to include the devices and the gadgets of future. So I had told them to think about it, think beyond what is already there in the market or which has been developed. Okay. And then I told them that, yes, they can compare with their what we already have to their future desires. Yes, it is feasible or not. So how much feasible that is, that they think that it would be. Then I had told them to draw or design, like they can do it with paper cutout. They can simply draw it like a plan. Or many of the students did come out with some 3D designing softwares. They said, ma'am, we want to do it in that. So I gave them free hand, and there's another one like Google SketchUp, in which the students do try out the layout of a house or any building. So I gave them a free hand over here to design and think beyond. So this also came out very nicely with my students.
Yeah, Smita ma'am says she has used Animaker for smart home.
Animaker.
Yes. So yes, so that
Animaker is used for making the animations. So they could definitely be putting in animations onto their images over there. Yeah. So when I was speaking about the smart homes and the smart cities, I felt that we are missing out onto this part. We should be showing this Amazon Go also, which are already there. That is the smart markets we have. So if you have seen this video, I can go forward, or if you want to see it, I can play it. Ma'am, what do you suggest? Shibi ma'am?
Yeah, you can play it, ma'am. How long is it?
Just 1 minute probably.
Yeah, please play it so that, you know.
4 years ago, we started to wonder, what would shopping look like if you could walk into a store, grab what you want, and just go? What if we could weave the most advanced machine learning, computer vision, and AI into the very fabric of a store, so you never have to wait in line? No lines, no checkouts, no registers. Welcome to Amazon Go. Use the Amazon Go app to enter. Then put away your phone and start shopping. It's really that simple. Take whatever you like. Anything you pick up is automatically added to your virtual cart. If you change your mind about that cupcake, just put it back. Our technology will update your virtual cart automatically. So how does it work? We used computer vision, deep learning algorithms, and sensor fusion much like you'd find in self-driving cars. We call it Just Walk Out technology. Once you've got everything you want, you can just go. When you leave, our Just Walk Out technology adds up your virtual cart and charges your Amazon account. Your receipt is sent straight to the app, and you can keep going. Amazon Go. No lines, no checkout. No, seriously.
It's really convenient.
Yes, I know. So this is like one of the concepts which is already there in the market and in foreign countries, and definitely the students might have visited, and they are there with more ideas than we see into these like already being the technology which is already there. Yes, I did talk about the future job advertisements as given in the CBSE also. So here we have to look for the technical skills as well as the soft skills. So when we are speaking of the soft skills, again, our moral values do come into being, and the technical skills, how they are changing. The changing times have seen. Earlier, I can just quote over here our Dr. Kalam's message that in earlier times, the society was governed by muscle power. So muscle was the power which was governing everyone. Then it came on to the money power. And today it is the knowledge power. So we have to empower our students with these skills which are to be looked forward in the near future. It is already there. So we have to tell them that you have to like upskill yourself every moment to be adapted over there. And of course, we do talk about that, yes, your jobs are not to be taken about by the robots or all these AI machines. They are there to help you. They are there to assist you. They are not there to take over everything from your lives. So when we talk about such things, then our students also are going along with such mindset, yes, that we are going to gain more of the positive kind of outlook from our students and the developments, I would say. That is what we are looking for. And we do speak about the various fields which we are like talking about here. Now, this is my favorite, this pixel activity, when we are speaking about visualization of the data. So this can start from any age group. You can start from any age group, I must say. I had done it, or I had actually planned it in 3-4 ways. I have not yet done it. The 2D visualization, it is for the younger students. Then the paper activity, what is mentioned in the CBSE curriculum, I would share that as well. That is for all age groups. But my own way of doing it is into a spreadsheet, which I would like you all to try on. And yes, we can do it with the Python coding also. We can just use Matplotlib and image to be imported, and then work upon and change the pixel colors to show how that effect of a pixel is, or to make the children understand, yes, how our data is analyzed and how thing is, our machine is visualizing an object and identifying it. Okay, so for 2D visualization, I have this particular link which you can try out. Should I share that in the chat window? Yeah.
If it's something that you want them to do now, you can share it in the chat box, or if it is something they can try out later, maybe all the links of this...
later. The next one, the spreadsheet one, I actually want you to try on.
The rest, you can just share it all together into a document with them.
Great, great, great. So this is one where you can just simply pick up the marker and draw it, and you can actually see the pixelated view of it. And then you can just talk about this with your students. This is particularly for the younger kids. Okay. Then the paper activity that is there in the CBSE, where you are just having the 6x6 or 10x10 matrix, and the student or a group is told to like write a letter. The same alphabet is to be written by all. Okay, and then they have to shade that particular box in which that line is falling. So they particularly shade that particular box, and then they cut out those strips. So everyone would have those one, and just observe the numbers 1, 2, 2, 3. So they would just join all these, and that would be a complete single strip, which is in continuation. After that, you would tell the students to like compare, put one sheet above, like one student sheet above and the other student sheet below it, and see how much different it is. And thereby you are telling that how computer is visualizing it. We have already seen this kind of activity like binaries. I think Hari sir had taken up this in his workshop earlier. So there he had spoken about how the bits and bytes, the zeros and ones are taken up when a pixel is being taken in, that data is filled into N. So here we are speaking about those concepts.
Raksha ma'am, just since I have not done this activity or have not come to that part, I understood that on that 10 by 10 matrix, the students are writing A, they are shading the boxes in which those lines are coming, and they are cutting out the strips. I've got it so far. Then finally, after that, what was the step that they were doing?
Like it was a complete single strip. Then as a group project, they had to compare who's how many of them have got the similar values. Like if under just the first column, if you see that, okay, if the first column, how many of them have got the same square shaded, same pixel shaded. So they would just count out of 5, how many, 3 or 2. So then we are telling the students to compare, like how the system is analyzing it.
Right,
okay, you might have different data and you perceive it differently, but how the system takes in.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Yes, this is the activity which I have already done with my students. This is, I had designed a spreadsheet, and there I told them to input the numbers like 1, 2 or 3. I have color coded these numbers and they could see the result in the output sheet. Okay, so I have hidden the programming, hidden the like conditional formatting behind it. And this really was very interesting to begin with. So they could just try out the smileys, or they could try out their own names for the input to be given, and then they were seeing the output. They definitely came out with wonderful ideas and the way they were writing their names. So these are just 2 of the samples which I picked up from my activity which I have done in my class. But I want to share this link and I want to tell you how I have done it in spreadsheet. Okay, so I'll just stop this presentation and I would come on to this. Yes. Ma'am, can I share the link for this with everyone? Shibi ma'am?
Please, you don't have to ask me. Raksha ma'am, please, whatever is required for your session, please go ahead.
Okay, so I'll just share this link with all of you and you take a look at the spreadsheet. You all can click onto it and you would be coming to this spreadsheet of mine. Wonderful. So here, if you see that, ma'am, you are able to see my screen?
Yes, yes. And we've got your spreadsheet.
Yeah, I can see many of the members have already joined. So here I told them you can just simply write 1, 2 or 3 and they can see the output in the, sorry. They can see the output in the output spreadsheet. I did not tell them the coding first of all. So what they were doing is they were writing 1, 2, 3, and they were not seeing anything here. I told them this is a file which is linked over here, and here the color was getting changed. So then I later on picked up the concept of conditional formatting. If we have the time, I can take that up for 5 minutes. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
So let me just start with a new spreadsheet. Okay, so I picked up a new spreadsheet, and over here, I told them to design it like a pixel to be appearing. So I just changed the height and width to make it appear like this. Now, after that, I did go on the format option. I selected the complete spreadsheet. Then I go on format. I go on conditional formatting. This is a very basic concept of spreadsheets, which I used. Here, if I picked up, if it is empty, then I gave a particular color. So I gave the gray color over here and I said done. Okay. Yeah. Then I added another rule over here. So these are the various formatting options, conditional formatting. So based upon the condition, the formatting is done. I added another one. If this is equal to, I picked up is equal to 1. The color was changing. So I gave them red. Similarly, I gave them more numbers to work with, is equal to 2, and I gave them, let's say, blue. I actually did it with at least 10 to, 1 to 9 I did. So let me just give another color over here. Yeah. Okay. So right now, as I enter a number, the cell color would change. I did not give it 3, sorry. So this is how I was teaching them the pixel activity, and I was giving them these. Please, you can try out the numbers over here right now, all those who are active on this particular spreadsheet. This is very, very simple, and yet we are teaching them the concept of conditional formatting here. You can use any other kind of formatting as well. Along with the numbers, I can just add on more that is equal to 1. You can change the text color or you can make it bold. So any other kind of formatting also can be done over here. Are people trying onto it? Are you able to mark 1, 2, 3 onto it?
I'm not getting that the format option after selecting that.
Come with that again, please.
Actually,
it is in a view mode.
Only view permission is given.
Oh.
Yeah, we are not getting the permission to edit it.
I'll just. Please try it off.
Let us view permission only.
Please refresh it. I have changed that permission. Now I can see changes being done.
Yes.
This I really found interesting because I was teaching them the concept of pixel along with some kind of programming, and the visual effects could be seen by the students. The numbers which are not there, it is just removing that gray color also, because this is not empty, then the condition fails. Yeah. Can we go on further?
Yes, we got red, yellow, blue.
You can like try out anything with this kind of conditional formatting. This I picked up actually from Google site only.
1 second. I remember attending a session wherein that person had taught us to create that Indian flag using the spreadsheet. So spreadsheet is actually quite powerful if we explore the features of spreadsheet.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. But this is already named as pixelate activity in Google also. So you would just find the template as well if you are trying off. Otherwise, you can just teach this kind of conditional formatting to your students. Okay. We'll go forward. Yes, after that we did, like I had jotted down few things onto which I would like my students to research upon. Like when we are speaking about the history, we should be knowing like who all were the members who have contributed the most and the period in which they contributed. Actually, theirs had been a very, very struggling times. Right now, the technology, what we have in our hand is very, very like user friendly. We all are so comfortably dealing with it. But in earlier times, the technology was not there. So the people who had been behind this AI and what we have today, so we have to speak about those. So I told them to list down at least 5 of those founding fathers of AI and their contributions. This I feel that we must look for the personalities also. Those are behind. Yes, this is again one project which I think I would be discussing with my students, where the students have to think. Yes, these behaviors are associated with the human intelligence. Now, how much it is seen in AI, what we have today. So if we quote any of the examples of AI, let's say if they say Alexa is there, so what all can it be done by it? It cannot do all. Even if they speak about the driverless car, so you give them one example and then tell them to jot it down, like, is this able to plan? Is this able to reason as we humans do? So AI is still coming up. It is not at all as compared to humans. It can never be. So here again, when we are teaching them like moral values and all, again, we can just come down to these things, that a human can make a better decision in a given circumstance. Okay, though the machine would be faster, probably much faster in a given situation, but that might not be the correct decision. So what kind of manipulation it can do, or can it look onto, can it sympathize, like all the human factors what are there, can they be sought for in any of the AI devices or any of humanoids when we speak about? At the end, I am just posing one question towards the end of the class, that is it AI or is it not AI? So I have just jotted down number of questions for myself, and that yes, is it part of AI or not? Okay. So if it is part of AI, then which field does it take up, or which kind of training it has taken up behind it? So I have jotted down number of questions, something like your Google Maps or the application such as CorelDRAW that allows you to edit. So it is not AI. It is just part of that particular software. Yes, of course. Now I would just be sharing one of my favorite things, Star Trek gadgets, what we had seen as when we were kids. So we used to just, oh, wow, what kind of gadgets or devices? Those were the imaginations of that time, which are actually existing today. So this video, I'll just share it with you, the link, so that you can view it any other time. And the personality here, one of my favorite ones in today's times, I would say, he is the man behind the 6th Sense devices. What you see as Samsung Galaxy Gear devices and your Apple Watches, all the 6th Sense devices, the technology, what you see today, he's the man behind it. So when the Krish movie had come and we had seen number of like 6 senses, he's predicting the future, and just with the gestures and all, the things are changing. So that was, again, we were eyeing at that. But this is the person who actually developed it. He has worked at MIT, and he's one of the directors at Samsung right now. And I would share this link also with you to go and take a look onto it. This is very, very inspiring for me, and definitely one of the personalities which I really adore for his way of thinking beyond. Okay, so these two links I am just going to share with you all. And with that, I would end up with my presentation. This is all I have collected from everywhere, I would say. If anyone has any kind of queries or anything you want to ask.
Dear teachers, you have any question to ask Raksha ma'am, please do so now. I think they're also, they've been given so much.
So many of
they're thinking, okay, where am I going to use this? How am I going to use that?
Actually, I have left that open for everyone, because every now and then when you are thinking that which kind of activity I should be taking in my class, and if I'm doing one topic, which activity would be more appropriate. So I have left that open. I have not mentioned that particularly, not to restrict it. Okay.
Right, Raksha ma'am, there's one question that Simna ma'am asked. Is this open to anyone? Okay, she's asked a question that if anybody can say the difference between Google Lens and Word Lens. Anybody who knows the difference between Google Lens and Word Lens?
Google Lens I have used.
Yeah, Google Lens I have used, but I have no idea about Word Lens. So if there's anybody who knows what this Word Lens is, or probably, we'll find out and let you know when we don't have an answer. I think that's what we do. So I think we have been bombarded. Right now, we were having a few activities that we were, working with our children as when we were teaching them AI in any grades for that matter. But today, Raksha ma'am has done an intensive research on the topic of AI and activities, and she shared so many. I'm sure that she'll be, sending across those links and, if possible, the presentation, so that, the teachers can take their own time to decide which, activity can be done for which particular topic and how they plan to do it. So, yes, there are plenty of messages in the chat box that says learning new from each session. Thank you so much. Wonderful session. Some are mesmerized as I am. Wonderful collections, ma'am. Really informative and interesting. We are poured out are some of the feedbacks that have come.
One more thing I want to share. We have storytelling also in our curriculum. So when we start with storytelling, I believe we should start with mythologies we have. The Indian mythology, what is there? When we speak of the Vimanas, which were there in earlier times, you just think about it and then it appears in front of you. And when Sri Ramji just thought about that Vimana to come, it was there in front. And then as many people were just entering, it grew in size. So that is what that had been there as like in our, what should I say, civilization or culture, I don't know. But yes, AI had already been there. We are just researching upon what we already had in earlier times. Speaking about not just Indian mythology, we have the Greek mythology, which we can speak about. There was a story about a robot which used to take 3 rounds on that island to protect it. That was a huge rock-built robot, humanoid actually. And those invaders who used to come, they used to see that and they were like thrown away from that particular island of Greek. So that was one of the stories, which is again very, very interesting for me. I had like seen 4 or 5 videos for that to actually understand the AI concept behind it and how it got killed. So that is not just mythology. I feel that is more of the realities of the earlier times, which we are rediscovering. Okay.
Right. Very, very correctly said. Now, when we talk about storytelling with data, actually that is the topic that has been given in grade 11 and 12. We can definitely start on with these sessions and then slowly, teach our children on how to look at everything from the point of view that there's so much information. There's a story that each data is trying to tell you. And, that's how I think one of the, I don't remember the app right now, but I put it in the chat box when you were sharing it, that this could be actually used for storytelling with data. I think, I don't remember.
Smita ma'am has taken about storytelling.
She's taken us for storytelling as a pedagogy for computer science and AI. Definitely that can be, incorporated into that. But in AI, the curriculum talks about how do the children interpret data and how do they present something out of the data that is given to them in different formats. You talked about one application where there was different graphs. What was that? I don't remember the name right. Was it Snoopy?
One was Loopy and the other one was
Sketchy Graphs.
Sketchy Graphs. Yes, Sketchy Graphs. Yeah, that's right. So that Sketchy Graphs can actually be used when we are teaching our children, storytelling with data. And many other teachers had put in their inputs regarding how these applications could be used in which topic. I am extremely grateful for all those who asked questions, because it helped Raksha ma'am to tell us a little more about it, and also those who shared how they have been using it, if they are using those devices or these applications, how they are been using it, and where they are using it. That helps us to think. And there are a lot of applications that is yet to be explored, which is being shared by her. I think we can all take our time to decide on how these work and where it can be applied to. So thank you so much. It was an absolutely brilliant session. And we are so grateful to you. You've been associated with us right from the beginning, and you've always been, I think I remember how you always used to volunteer to take pictures. Okay. So that, that shows.
Can we have the cameras on?
Yes. Can we have the cameras on?
So that ma'am has raised her hand.
Yes, Smita ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to share my thoughts and feelings about today's session.
Please do.
It was wonderful, Raksha ma'am. Very great research you have done and given us very good insights about the kind of activities we can do. I just wanted to add something which I have done in my class for class 11. Recently, Government of India have launched AI for all mission, right?
Yes.
So I have made the children complete this course, get their badges and certificates, and keep them in their practical record. So first I told them to upload in a Padlet, and then individually they have stored in their practical record, and I have downloaded it also and kept, so that it will be a reference that all my children have the AI badges and certificates, and even AI for oceans, that particular activity they have completed and they have collected the certificates also. So that also gives a very interesting, achievement for the children, that they have been part of this particular mission which the Government of India has taken. And regarding one more storytelling, since I'm very much fascinated with the storytelling part, recently I wrote a story. I got a message from a student, from a teacher, I do not know, maybe from Kochi, I think. She told that how she has to relate AI project cycle with a story. So I was just thinking, and suddenly it gave me an idea. I shared with Meenu ma'am also. It is Thirsty Crow story. So that I related with AI project cycle. If you give me opportunity, Shibi ma'am, I'm going to share it in the group.
Please do.
So that
please,
everybody can take
to
advantage
ask
of
for
this.
permission.
I will add on to
anything.
I will add on to it. Smita had shared the story. So I was doing design thinking and I was making certain notes for my students. So that got me thinking, and I put across this question to my students that use the story of the Thirsty Crow and tell how the design thinking steps can be added, have been added to it. So I actually added on to it. So it was wonderful. Okay. I think, Smita comes up with very wonderful ideas. And today, Raksha ma'am, I really wanted to attend this. And I know I was so busy with my paper checking, but I thought I must attend your, webinar. And I'm so happy and glad that I attended, because there are certain activities which even I didn't know about. And I have done a lot of exploration. So I'm so happy that I attended and I got to know about all these. And I will definitely, use them in my class. So thank you so much, Raksha ma'am and Shibi.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Rajesh sir, would you like to say anything as we wind up? Rajesh sir, if you're there and you want to say something.
Yeah, thank you so much for calling me. And this was a great session. And I always used to tell Raksha ma'am, and we had an interaction also, that why we study AI, why we study subjects, because of one reason, that is to solve problem. Right. And when you tend to solve problems, you find out many solutions. For example, when you are editing a video, say for example, you just get a video and you just want to remove the background of that video, then what you will do, you'll go for finding some apps that can remove the background. So eventually what will happen to you, you'll land up with some good apps that can be helpful, and those are some AI apps. So that is how you learn, and you learn when it becomes your need. You learn when it is a necessity. For example, nowadays, every teacher, I can say, in schools, they are not that technologically backward. They have learned a lot. And why? Because the need.
Right. Very true, sir.
That is what I used to share, that necessity is the mother of invention. And we are learning, we are here because of our needs. So Abdul Kalam, yes, he has rightly said that when we were using muscle power, that was our need. Now we shifted to money power, that was our need. And yes, there also we were using mind, and today also we are using mind, and keep on developing new things. We will. And yes, necessity. It's all necessity.
Yes, sir. Very true. Thank you so much. And I think you have a brilliant educator with you in your school. So many congratulations in that.
Ma'am, I must share that towards every new innovation or like looking onto the solutions, he always says, if there is a problem, there has to be a solution. Like we are stuck at times with no solution. Like what do we do? But he would definitely be making day or night together, like karke hi rahenge, and he would definitely find a solution. He's that kind of person. He's very, very passionate about his own work. So I really admire that. And
I think he inspires his educators also to think that where there is a will, there is a way, and not to give up and to look for solutions than for focusing on the problems. I think that is what the secret mantra that he follows. So Rajesh sir, thank you so much for coming here and being with us for today. And Raksha ma'am, on behalf of the entire teachers who are present here and from all those who are going to watch this recording and going to be benefited from this, a huge gratitude. And thank you so much for taking time out and sharing everything so openly, because I know how much time consuming is to, go on research and collect everything. It takes an hour or probably 30 minutes to share everything that you know, but then it takes days and months for you to find and collect those repository as, work forward with the AI data collection. So thank you so much once again. And thank you, dear teachers, for joining us today. And I think today is the last session of AI teacher community for this month. Next month for a week or so, I'm not here, so we will not be having that. But then we will come back with a very interesting activity, and the credit goes to Divya because she suggested something which I think is brilliant. I just need to check with her on how to go about it, and we are going to soon announce it in our group. And there are so many individuals who can contribute to it. So looking forward to October. And thank you once again for joining us today. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Risha, ma'am. Thank you.